Client research is often the difference between closing a deal and losing it. That's how much it matters. But the problem, it takes hours of time and effort to do it. Time you could be spending elsewhere in your business. But what if you could let Claude do that for you? In this video, I'll show you how to fully automate this process, replacing 5 to 10 hours of work with a single Claude skill. And it gives you very accurate results, so you don't have to worry about AI making mistakes. And of course, you'll get the template at the end. So let's get into it.
You want to think about this in 3 layers. First layer, inputs. You give the skill a company URL or a name. Second layer, the research loop. The skill fans out. It pulls the website, it scrapes the about page, it searches for recent news, checks the team on LinkedIn, and looks for trigger events, funding rounds, hiring sprees, press mentions. And the third layer is the output. A structured brief in the exact format your team already uses. Not a wall of text, but a template filled in. What makes this a skill instead of just a prompt is permanence. The instructions for how your business does research lives in the skill file. Every time you invoke it, you get the same quality. Your junior AE produces the same brief as your head of strategy. That's the point. So the first thing we're going to do is define what we want and not how. So I've got the brief template that my team already uses. We've got the company snapshot, key people, recent trigger events, pain hypothesis, personalized hooks. This is the shape of the output. Everything else in the skill is in service of filling this in. Now I already have this ready, but here's the series of Claude prompts that I used to get this very output. The first prompt was just a basic overview of just what I'm looking for in company research, and I also asked Claude what other things I should need. So Claude went ahead and gave me quite a comprehensive list. Next, I asked it to output everything, but as a table with potential sources to get that information from. This is really important because that will help us decide which MCPs and connectors to use for our skill. And finally, we have the entire SOP into a PDF, which a real employee could follow, that Claude can follow. Now, the really neat thing about Claude skills is that Claude comes packaged with a skill creator skill. So you don't really need to know the technicalities of building the skill. You can actually feed Claude your SOPs and processes, and Claude is just going to use the skill creator skill to turn that into a skill that Claude can understand and utilize. So all I had to do was give Claude the PDF of my SOP and just tell it, let's turn this into a skill. In just a few seconds, I had a confirmation that the skill is packaged and ready to install, and the skill contains the full 5-phase pipeline. You'll notice that in the first draft of the skill, it actually decided to give me a Claude synthesis prompt from my SOP ready for me to paste into Claude. But since we're using Claude itself, there's no need to have a separate prompt. The skill should be able to do that synthesis for me, which was my next prompt. So it went ahead, did some more iterations, and gave me a new version of that skill. Now this is really important in the skill building process because you'll see the skill that Claude made, you'll read it, you'll decide if it works for you or not, and if it doesn't, you'll ask it to make some changes to it, and it'll keep loading that skill creator skill, making those changes that you need until the end result is something that you're actually happy with. Now since this skill requires external data, I asked Claude to give me a checklist of all the connectors to have set up in Claude for this to work, and Claude confirmed that most of the things are coming from Appify, and we'll also need Firecrawl for scraping websites. So 2 connectors, 1 skill, and that's all I need to replace my entire client research workflow. So I went ahead and gave it a run with one of my actual clients, and the end result was really just okay. It wasn't really as in-depth as I was hoping that it would be. So when I dug into the details, I found out that the skill ran, but it just used Firecrawl and it didn't use Appify at all. So there's a lot of data that the skill missed out on in the first round. So I went back to the skill creator chat, gave it these instructions, and the skill creator went ahead and iteratively improved that skill to force Claude to use both Appify and Firecrawl. And then we had a new skill ready to go. Now running the new skill gave me this result, which you can see from the get-go is a lot more advanced. It has a lot more information baked in, and you can clearly see that the skill has done its research. Now imagine yourself armed with this kind of information. The way that you'll impress them with the amount of research that you've done beforehand is going to skyrocket your close rate. Now one last thing that you'll have to do if you have not done it already, I already had mine set up, which is why I was able to run the skill as is. But if you don't have it set up, I'm going to quickly show you how you can set up the Appify MCP server and the Firecrawl MCP server so that your skill can easily access data from both sources. In Claude, we're going to go into the menu and go to Customize. Then you're going to head over to Connectors, click on the plus icon, and go to Browse Connectors. You'll find Appify and click the plus icon. Once you're in Settings, click Configure. That's going to bring you to the screen where you're going to drop in your Appify API token, which you can get from logging on to appify.com, going to Settings, and clicking API and Integrations. That's literally all you need for Appify. The next MCP server you need is Firecrawl. So if you go to the Firecrawl documentation, and I'll leave a link to these websites in the description, you'll see that all you really need is this URL to set up the MCP server. So go ahead and copy that, come back into Claude, and back in the Customize screen, click Add Custom Connector, give it a name, and just drop in the MCP server URL. And you'll see that we actually need to replace our API key, which you can get from the Firecrawl dashboard by clicking on API keys, and this is still using the free plan time, by the way. So just copy the key, paste it in, and click add, and both of your tools are wired up. We are now ready to run the skill live. So let's go ahead and find somebody on LinkedIn that we can run our skill on. Here's someone that's interesting with 27,000 followers and a lot of experience across different industries. And back in Claude, we're just going to trigger the skill by saying research this lead and dropping in some basic information about the individual and their company. I'm going to hit OK. It's reading the client research SOP skill, which is amazing. It's loaded all the different tools that it will need. It's running all research phases simultaneously. Now it's searching for LinkedIn and doing more searches in parallel. And in just a few minutes, there it is. Business model, notable domains, tech stack, financial signals, key people, LinkedIn activity, pain hypothesis, personalized hook, some likely objections that might come up during the sales call, questions to ask in the meeting, bioprocess inference, and again, this is just an inference, automation maturity, red flags, everything. All of this was put together in less than 5 minutes. If you want this built on your agency's actual client stack with your brief format, your data sources, and your team's workflow, that's what I do one-on-one. The link to apply is in the description. And if you just want the skill file from this video to start tinkering, it's inside the community along with more than 40 other plug-and-play templates for your business. The link is below.